Were you surprised by how easy it looked for Baylor in this game?
Yeah, no doubt I was surprised. It's funny, yesterday when I kind of had a second to kind of step back, I looked at the game through a different prism. I looked at the game and I said, like, who has the better backcourt? It was Baylor. Who's the better defensive team? It was Baylor. Who's the better rebounding team? It was Baylor. The one positive was, obviously, Drew Timme was going to be a matchup nightmare. Baylor dominated this game. They were bigger, stronger, quicker, more competitive. I mean, they dominated the game on the backboards. From the first play of the game, ball goes up, boom, the offensive rebound. If ball goes up, boom, the offensive rebound. They get 3 consecutive offensive rebounds. Mark Vidal had 8 offensive rebounds. The whole Gonzaga team only had 5. And then defensively, I had to say, ball pressure buys time. The ball pressure of Baylor pushed Gonzaga out a step further. The ball pressure of Baylor created deflections, got, obviously, Gonzaga out. Baylor out in transition. They scored 10 points off of their defense. And then from the three-point line, they made 5 more threes than Gonzaga. They dominated the game. Did I expect them to dominate the game? No. I did at the end expect them to win. That's why I picked them on our game day show, because as I really sat down and kind of got away from the euphoria of how Gonzaga plays, the beauty of their offensive execution, I looked at it and I said, wait a second. How do you win? They're experienced. They rebound, they defend, they make threes. So I picked them, but I mean, that was just lucky. I mean, just how hard they played and how dominant they were defensively. The backcourt was just phenomenal.
Big boy, I really appreciate you joining the show. We've had a lot of those nights in college basketball where we're up pretty late doing SportsCenter, and it's a quick turnaround. So I appreciate you bringing the energy. I have to ask you this. Is Mark Few the best coach to not win a title?
I mean, there are a lot of good guys that haven't won a title. Look, me. I just wanted to make this tournament. Mark Few will win it. Mark Few will win a championship. He'll win a championship. Look, he had a special team. They were historically good offensively. They had a great chemistry. They were a great passing team, a great cutting team. He's got an incredible recruiting class coming in. He's going to obviously be able to kind of reach into the transfer portal. The rumor is that he's going to get Chet Holmgren, the high school kid out of Minneapolis, and Walker Kessler potentially. He's got the Salih kid who's committed, a 6'5" guard. Look, he's going to be there again. Look, it's hard to be undefeated. JWill, you know this. It's hard to win a national championship. I mean, this is such a fine line. Now, the manner in which Baylor won the game was probably disappointing to him, because I think he expected more from his team. But talking to Mark all season long, this is interesting. We had a conversation in January, and we were talking about Baylor because they were undefeated. Baylor was undefeated. And I said, what do you think of him? Like, I was kind of picking his brain, kind of what he thought. He goes, man, they are ridiculous defensively. They play so hard. They get up underneath you. So they would be a team that would give us a real problem. And that's pretty good forecasting. I wish I used it.
But Seth, but here's the problem, though, right? Here's what happens, Seth, is that Al and I talked about it on our show last week. I was like, the more they win, the more people are going to start putting them in this threshold of, could they be the best team ever, right? Mm-hmm. So think about one end of the spectrum. We're considering Gonzaga to be the best team potentially to ever wear a uniform. Like, they're that good of an offense. Like, we've talked about it, you and I. Yeah. And then to get to a national championship game, especially the way they arrived there, with Jalen Suggs making that shot against UCLA, to get beat down like that, the juxtaposition of that's a hard narrative to get away from, right? It's because it kind of fits into what we've seen from Gonzaga from years past. I mean, 2 times they made the Final Four in the past 4 men's NCAA tournaments, and to the championship game, they haven't won it. Yeah,
but there was a time where Jay Wright didn't win it either. And then he won 2 out of 4.
Yes, I mentioned that.
So, I mean, like, if you keep on knocking, there was a time that Roy Williams didn't win it. There was a time Dean Smith didn't win it. There's a time that all guys haven't won it. It's hard to win it. I mean, John Calipari's won 1. He's been to how many? So, like, it's hard to finish the deal. I don't think it was the pressure of being undefeated. Like, I don't think it was that. I just think Baylor was better. I think Baylor had the ability, with their defense, with their guard play, with their relentless rebounding, they were plus 16 on the glass. Plus 16. Or they had 16 offensive. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, they were plus 11, but they had 16 offensive rebounds. I mean, it was just too much for them. Baylor, the DNA of Baylor in relation to Gonzaga was just a bad matchup. You know what? Few's going to get players. He's going to continue to win. He's going to continue to knock on that door. And eventually they're going to break through. But this team he had was special, historic offensive team. But they just weren't as good as Baylor. And I'll tell you one thing. If they played 10 times, I think Gonzaga would win 1 or 2. I think Baylor would beat them 8 out of 10 because they're so physical, so tough, so long, so athletic. And Jonathan Chama and Mark Vidal, those are grown men, man. I mean, their ability to move their feet. Those perimeter guys, and then the guys they come off the bench with, they were plus 14 off the bench. I mean, Flagler's knocking down threes. Jonathan Chama was defending all over the floor. I mean, Baylor's a special team. And you know what? All that stuff about Scott Drew can't coach, that one's done because that dude coached his rear end off.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, Seth, and we got about a minute to go here. It's just about Scott Drew, and we talked about it earlier in the show, the story of Baylor basketball and where they were 18 years ago and what he did to help bring that program back from the brink.
Incredible. And I'll tell you, think about their lineup. Let's go through their lineup. They've got a transfer from UNLV, a transfer from Presbyterian, a transfer from Asheville. I mean, they've got a transfer from Auburn. He's developed, obviously, Jared Butler, who ended up going to Baylor after he committed to Alabama, and then Avery Johnson got let go. So, I mean, like, you look at the makeup. They do a great job in player development. They create a great sense of family. Like, you can see those kids really enjoy each other and buy into everything they do. The guy's done an incredible job. I mean, think what he inherited, think where they are now. Man, waking up being Scott Drew right now is a pretty good thing.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.